In the media conference with LAL GOEL, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you with the current topic. And today our topic is role of youth in national security. National security or national defense is the security and defense of a nation state, including its citizens, economy, and institutions, which is regarded as a duty of government. Modern concepts of national security arose in the 17th century during the 30 Years' War in Europe and the Civil War in England. In 1648, the Peace of Westphalia established the idea that the nation state had sovereign control not only of domestic affairs such as religion, but also of external security. The idea of the nation state is commonplace today, yet it would be wrong to assume that it is the only way to look at international security. The pre-Westphalia international system was based on the assumption that there existed a universal principle governing the affairs of states led by emperors, popes, kings, and princes. That was indeed the principle of the Holy Roman Empire. The new idea of the nation state took a different approach. Peace and stability could be better served if people were not slaughtering each other over some universal principle, in that case, religion. It would be far better to have an international system based on the equilibrium of nation states dedicated to the limited purposes of national sovereignty and self-defense. Originally conceived as protection against military attack, national security is now widely understood to include also non-military dimensions, including the security from terrorism, minimization of crime, economic security, energy security, environmental security, food security, cyber security, etc. Similarly, national security risks include, in addition to the actions of other nation states, action by violent non-state actors, by narcotic cartels, and by multinational corporations, and also the effects of natural disasters. Government rely on a range of measures, including political, economic, and military power, as well as diplomacy, to safeguard the security of a nation state. They may also act to build the conditions of security regionally and internationally by reducing transnational causes of insecurity, such as climate change, economic inequality, political exclusion, and nuclear proliferation. Increasingly, governments organize their security policies into a national security strategy, NSS. As of 2017, Spain, Sweden, the United Kingdom, and the United States are among the states to have done so. Some states also appoint a National Security Council and or a National Security Advisor, which is an executive government agency. It feeds the head of the state on topics concerning national security and strategic interest. The National Security Council or Advisor strategies long-term, short-term, contingency national security plans. India holds one such system, which was established on 19th November 1998. Although states differ in their approach, with some beginnings to prioritize non-military actions to tackle systematic drivers of insecurity, various forms of coercive power, predominant particularly military capabilities. The scope of These capabilities has developed. Traditionally, military capabilities were mainly land or sea-based, and in smaller countries, they still are. Elsewhere, the domains of potential warfare now include the air, space, cyberspace, and psychological operations. Military capabilities designed for these domains may be used for national security or equally for offensive purposes, for example, to conquer and annex territory and resources. Infrastructure security is the security provided to protect infrastructure, especially critical infrastructure such as airports, highways, rail transport, hospitals, bridges, transport hubs, network communications, media, the electricity grid, dams, power plants, seaports, oil refineries, and water systems. Infrastructure security seeks to limit vulnerability of these structures and systems to sabotage, terrorism, and contamination. Many countries have established government agencies to directly manage the security of crucial infrastructure, usually through the Ministry of Home Affairs, dedicated security agencies to protect facilities. The National Security Act of 1980 is an act of the Indian Parliament promulgated on 23rd September 1980, whose purpose is to provide for preventive detention in certain cases and for matters connected therewith. The act extended to the whole of India. It contains 18 sections. This act empowers the central government and state governments to detain a person to prevent him or her from acting in any manner prejudicial to the security of India, the relations of India with foreign countries, the maintenance of public order, or the maintenance of supplies and services essential to the community. It is necessary so to do. The Kargil War of 1999 focused the nation's attention on shortcomings in India's national security management system, which was largely inherited from the British in 1947. A comprehensive review resulted in a major overhaul, ensuring tighter coordination between the various security structures, reforming the higher defense organization, and bringing in a holistic approach, recognizing the political, economic, technological, ecological, and sociological factors impacting on national security. A set of reviews in 2017-18 resulted in further structural reforms, taking cognizance of the global geopolitical flux, a revolution in the nature of military conflict, the transformative role of technology in every aspect of internal and external security, and the challenges arising from India's strategic ambitions. The reformed and new structures emerging from these reviews are still a work in progress. Their functioning as a smooth, well-oiled national security machinery would require a coordinated all-of-government approach. As a young nation, we have to recognize the power of the youth, a force which has great potential and one that needs to be harnessed towards nation building. The current trend of the youth being hyperactive on the social media needs to be channeled by diverting their energy towards national integration and building a pluralistic society. In India, we do not expose our youth to even the rudimentary aspects of national security and its impact on society. Besides, substantial issues like the survivability of nation states, it is important to have the youth understand the basic concept of national security and the impact it has on human security and economic growth. India has never played politics with national security, said our former Prime Minister, late Atal Bihari Vajpayee. And today, to discuss this very, very important topic, the role of youth in national security, we have a very, very high profile chief guest among us, and he is Major General P. Rajagopal. Welcome, Major General P. Rajagopal, on our show. Major General P. Rajagopal is highly decorated general with AVSM, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, and VSM, Vishisht Seva Medal. He is an alumni of the prestigious National Defense Academy. He was commissioned in the Elite Parachute Regiment. During his military career of nearly 40 years, he has held numerous challenging operational, instructional, and staff appointments at various levels in the Army. He has commanded a battalion of the Parachute Regiment sector during active insurgency in Northeast and a division in Eastern Ladakh. He was instructor in the Indian Military Academy and Defense Services Staff College, colonel in charge administration in National Defense Academy, and Brigade General Operations retired as the head of the Territorial Army with an all India jurisdiction. In recognition of his dedication and professional commitments, he was awarded Vishisht Seva Medal for his services in Nagaland and Ati Vishisht Seva Medal by the President of India for exceptional services during command of division in Eastern Ladakh and Siachen, commonly referred as the highest battlefield in the world. He was also awarded 4 commendation cards by the Chief of Army Staff, a rare achievement for his exceptional services. Post-retirement, General Rajgopal has worked with many private industrial houses, including multinational companies, on security matters and writes extensively on strategic issues affecting the country. Welcome, Major General P. Rajgopal, on our show. General Rajgopal, you were so active and you were so much highly decorated general in India. Definitely your views are going to enlighten not only those youths who are participating in our media conference, but everyone whosoever is viewing this show today. So we would like to know the role of youth in national security. General P. Rajgopal, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone, the viewers and the participants. Let me start by thanking Mr. Goel for giving me this opportunity to interact with you all. It is a great pleasure and it is a great honor to be part of this program, to interact with students from, I can see, from all over India. I think he has chosen a very proper subject today. Both the elements of the subject, the national security, an extremely important aspect in our today's environment, and the youth. Youth make the future of the country, and today we have a population of almost 65% of India's population is below 35 years. So the importance of youth cannot be overemphasized. So that's a very good subject, and I'm sure we'll have a good interaction today. Let me very briefly tell you what exactly is national security. It is basically defense of your land, air, and sea. The inviolability of your land borders, your land assets, your maritime boundary, offshore assets. All this is covered in the external domain of national security. As Mr. Goel brought out, there is the internal dimension also, which is protection from protecting your economy, your way of life. There are various threats today internally. All of you are well aware. There is a threat of terrorism. There is a threat of indoctrination, extremist agenda, social media. There are so many internal threats. There is a proxy war which is on in Kashmir. There is insurgency now, although it's comparatively lesser, but still there in the Northeast. All these are the internal problems. So protection of the external and internal forms the national security. Now, if you come to our state today, we have approximately 15,000 kilometers of land borders. and about 7,000, which is bordering up 7 countries. Similarly, we have about 7,500 maritime boundary with 4 countries. Out of this, as on date, roughly 8,000 kilometers, that is our border with Pakistan and China. About 3,500 kilometers plus with Pakistan and about 4,000 plus with China. This entire border is today active, both on the Pakistan side. By active, I mean there is deployment from both sides. Many places there is firing which goes on at times. There is eyeball to eyeball contact. So we have a huge army deployment, you can imagine, to cover this 8,000 kilometers of the border today. So coming now, besides this, we have a problem because as you know, China has been exerting its influence in all our neighboring countries and have been trying to tighten a noose around us. They have invested in all our neighboring countries to wean them away from us, whether it is Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, all countries. And most importantly, there is a very close nexus between China and Pakistan. China has invested billions in the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, that is the illegally occupied area of by Pakistan. They have constructed the corridor from the north to the south, right up to the Gwadar seaport, and they are investing huge amount in building dams, power sector. So there is a very close economic trade, and the military was already there. So we have a huge challenge with us today, because there's not only China, not only dealing with individual countries, China or Pakistan, we have to deal with both together. That is like a two-front war. We have to be prepared for both. So that's a huge security challenge as far as the external element is concerned. With this, we have to really be conscious of the current security. There is this policy of encirclement which is there. So what it really means is the huge commitment of the armed forces. So I would finish this, the security part of it, by highlighting that we have a huge deployment of the armed forces along all our borders. We need to support them. They are giving their today for our tomorrow. They are deployed in the icy heights ranging from 15 to 20,000 feet in Ladakh, in most inhospitable areas. So as youth, we need to support them. Coming to the next part, what is the link between the youth and the national security? I just highlight 3-4 points. The first is the need for that. What is the need for the youth to be involved with the national security? Primarily, if you see, as I said, we are in a very complex situation. We have this border situation on one side. It is, and on the other side, we are a huge population. There is educated, uneducated, illiterate, unemployed, all types of people. There is a heavy population in urban areas. So there is a limit what the government can do. Government concentrates on the regular aspect. That is the building up the armed forces, building the wherewithal for the armed forces, coordinating the armed forces, deploying them. All that is, giving you intelligence, acquisition of intelligence. All this is part of the government's job. What the government has a problem is in managing the internal security, because as I said, we are a huge population, and so we need to be, this is where the youth comes into play in helping the country, in keeping a kind of as a monitor on the internal situation, and not getting involved in any other activities. That is the where the youth will come into as far as the national security. So what we have today is that, see, there is no formal education as far as national security is concerned. How do we achieve this? It can only be through the educational institutions. It has to be in colleges and in schools. some kind of education on national security is required, so that the youth is aware of the external situation and the internal situation. That is where we have to concentrate. Today, we have no such kind of formalized system for keeping the youth aware of the national security situation. The next point I like to briefly highlight is about the threat of social media and the internet. This is a very important aspect, and where the youth comes into play to a very large extent. You see, we are one of the largest internet users in the world now. And today in this pandemic time, right from as a child, or maybe right from 6, 7, from the first standard onwards, today with online classes, everybody is on to online. The internet has got tremendous advantages. There is no doubt about it. But there is also a dark side to it, which everybody has to be conscious of. There is, if you see any of the attacks, any of the terrorist attacks which has taken place, whether it is in Mumbai attack in 2008, or the Pathankot attack, or more recently in Paris, where over 259 people were killed. In all this, there is an internal element. There is an internal support. Though it may be a very minuscule percentage of the population, but it is that misguided population which is helping this activity. That is where we have to be conscious. There is a constant effort to indoctrinate people, religious extremism, all kinds of extremism, even through the normal games which you play, which children play. There is an element of violence and all. That's where supervision is required. Youth, when I mean you are most well placed to guide the younger people, and also the senior lot, because you are more aware of the computer and computer security. Even the seniors citizens may not be aware. So it becomes your job to even tell your parents how to ensure computer security, and otherwise the whole leakage of. So this is a important point on which you have to concentrate. And the fourth point, which we as a nation have to be very, very careful, is about our diversity. We are one of the most diverse countries in the world. There are over 100 languages. There are 700 tribes. All the religions of the world are here. So we need to be tolerant. Let me take the example here of the armed forces. Give you a small example. Like in an armed forces, there is a unit. A unit consists of about, say, 1,000. Most of you would have known it is commanded by a colonel, and it is a lowest fighting unit. Now, this 1,000 people come from all walks of life. They come from all over the country, but they come together, they train together, and they fight together. What's the difference? I mean, they are also from India only. All the people are from our own same stock. So, but they are able to do it. That's because you become tolerant. You appreciate the differences and enjoy the differences, but otherwise even you fight together. When you fight together means, the chap next to you is so important for your safety also, but you are able to do it. Similarly, in a unit, you have the commanding officer. He may be of any religious denomination, but if the bulk of the troops are, say, of one particular religion, then the commanding officer also takes on that. Say if it is a function in the temple, he may be a Muslim, he may be any, but he does all the rituals. So that is how we build up this religious tolerance in the unit. These are things which, I mean, as an integrated national integration, there's no better example for the country than the armed forces. The way they live together, they fight together. It's the best example which we can have. So this is now very briefly, I want to just cover about two organizations which we have and which is doing excellent, exemplary service in this. That is, most of you would be aware that one is the National Cadet Corps. It started in 1948 with a strength of about 20,000 cadets. Today, we have a strength of almost 15 lakh students. It's one of the largest uniformed organization in the world. and they are doing excellent work. You their entire training is based on building up the character, bringing in patriotism, and providing future leaders. And you see the NCC camp. It's again another excellent example of integration. They get together in Delhi from different parts of India. They become friends there. They play together. They take part in cultural activities together. They drill together and take part in the parade together. What more? And they retain that friendship for the rest of their life. That is integration. That's one organization we have, which we should encourage the students, both junior category and senior category, to take. That it does give a tremendous advantage to that person. The second option which is available to the youth is 18 to 42 years. We have the Territorial Army. It is again another outstanding organization which is called a Citizens Army. So that is you can anybody can enroll in this and they can continue with their job, whatever is their job, and just do 2 months training, and they're only called up for emergency whenever there is an emergency. I think I'm running short of time, so I'll end it here. If there's something more to add, I'll add in the end. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General, for giving details about the national security. And as General has mentioned, how he has given the details, how the national security consists of both the factor external and internal. And he has also given the details about that we have 15,000 kilometers border, which is there, and out of which about 50% or more is with the two major enemies or other countries like Pakistan and China, where there are still eye-to-eye contacts, or sometimes even the firings are going on. And he said that that apart from that, we have a maritime border, we have air space. So all these securities are required to safeguard our country, plus the internal security, which is very essential nowadays because of the cyber development, cyber crimes, as well as the religion and many things. And he said the role of youth is very important today because youth is technically very advanced, and they are involved in this online things from the very beginning, and especially during the COVID, from the first standard, everybody is online. But he says that if youth will just see how they will not come in the trap of any of such type of cyber things, like even the playing games, they should not be lured for the violences, which is very harmful for the security of the country. And he says that there are two types of there are two types of training in India for the youth. One is NCC, and another is a territorial army. And he says one can take the advantage of this. And the highlight of his talk today is he says that national integration, if one want to see, it is in the army. How with the different religion, different caste and everything, even languages, they all are one. And they are performing rituals, whether of any of religion, they are performing rituals of everyone. And this shows that why not we have the same thing in the country, and the role of youth is very important. Thank you very much, General, for giving your very enlightening and motivational thoughts today. I'm sure our youths who are participating, as well as those who saw our viewers, even the senior citizens like me, are going to be taking enlightened today with your thoughts. Thank you very much. Now, I would say national security is work in progress. And to discuss this role of youth in national security, we have youth guest today. I would like to invite my first youth guest. She is Miss Abhirami Sabu. Miss Abhirami Sabu, you have heard our chief guest, General Raja Gopal. Now, we would like to know from you role of youth in national security. First, introduce yourself and then please speak. Miss Sabu, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk in this show. Okay, so let's continue my talk. And we all know that India has a very young demographic profile. So it's very important to look the survivability of nation states, and we should be more important to have the youth to understand the basic concept of national security and its impact it has. I am Abhirami Sabu and I am from Kerala. And currently, I am working as a guest lecturer in college. And thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to
Okay.
talk in this show. Okay, so let me continue my talk. And we know that India, our India has a very young demographic profile. So, for the survivability of our nation state, it is important to have the youth to understand the basic concept of national security and the impact it has on human security and even the economic growth. And I think that in India, we do not expose our youth to even the rudimentary aspects of our national security. And now, and because of that, we can see there is a lot of impact. And now it's time to encourage the youth to involve in the national security. And we can bring the youth to the to realize the national security. I think we can empower them and instill a greater sense of patriotism in them. And we can bring such initiative to expose the students to the very basics of national security and make them realize the national security requires the active engagement of all citizens. And I think that India faces a many challenges to its security from both the external and internal sources, because there are a lot of ongoing armed intrastate conflicts are there, small wars are there, like the growing influence of ISIS, indoctrination initiatives, and the progressive increase in threats and challenges to the security. And the subconventional threats will be far more relevant to all countries than even before, like the proxy war in Jammu and Kashmir and the spread of terror networks in the subcontinent, and make the management of such things as make the management of internal and external security challenges increasingly complex, and especially since they are closely intertwined. And in India, we know that the high density population centers are repeatedly being put on high alert due to the possible terror strikes. Like according to the census of 2011, during the last 2 decades, the urban population has increased up to 160 million, and the rural population has increased up to 204 million. So, such rapid increase in the population and hyper-urbanization, gross inequality with fairly large number of living in slums all make the monitoring of varied unlawful and terrorist activities increasingly difficult. And now the terrorists of today have acquired expertise in the cyberspace, and now they are targeting the economic, transportation, communication, command and control, even the educational institutions. So such threats and their impact on economic growth and human security were all too visible, both we can see within and outside of India. And also because of our complex nature of our country, like its vastness, due to the illiteracy, due to the poverty, and due to the massive unemployment and demographic divide, the security forces alone can't prevent attacks of terrorists, or they can't even control unrest and conflict. So, in addition to various measures like improving intelligence, surveillance, security, coordination among security forces, provision of basic facilities, and the employment of youth, we also need to sensitize society, especially the youth, to such threats and their manifestations. In 2015, UN Secretary Council adopted the first ever milestone resolution on youth, peace, and security, the importance of focusing on the role of youth, men, and women in peace building and countering like violence. And we can see that other national security community outreach, they provide such schemes as in actively engage with ethnic, culture, and religious communities. For example, in Israel, every adult is required to serve in the military. So for the different reasons, people are fully conscious of their responsibilities. The results are too visible. I think in India, it's not much. And so I think the engaging the youth from all the communities in India would empower and encourage them to play a larger role in national security. and the youth between 15 and 25 years of age are being indoctrinated, and it would help to wean them away from the militant or the fundamentalist organizations. Okay, sir. Okay, now even our youth are involved in large scale of violence due to the instigation of some political parties or even the groups and the individuals. And such actions are highly case harm to the national well-being of our national security. So I think there is an urgent need to promote awareness through the educational institutions about the national security and impact on the various facets of the country's well-being. Okay, thank you, sir. This is
Thank,
all
thank,
about.
thank you very much, Ms. Sabu. And you have very correctly you have mentioned that how the youths have to play an important role. But one thing which you have mentioned about the patriotism, patriotism is to be inbuilt from the childhood. From in the family, the first thing is the family, and then the responsibility lies with the schools and the colleges. So as you have introduced yourself, you are a lecturer or a teacher. I think the responsibility lies with you, that you see to it that whenever there is an occasion, what types of patriotism thing can be imbibed in the youth, which is very, very important. And one can very need not to go far. We can see how our independence movement, how the youngsters came and with the fire in the belly, and then we got the independence. So if youth today will decide, then definitely they can change the system, or you can say they will be asset for the national security. Thank you very much, Ms. Sabu, for giving your very encouraging views. Now, I would like to go to my next youth guest, and she is Miss Anushka Sharma. Miss Anushka Sharma, you have heard, you have already heard our chief guest, General Rajgopal, as well as the earlier guest, youth guest. Now, we would like to know from you the role of youth in national security. Miss Anushka Sharma, please. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I am Anushka Sharma. I am currently pursuing MBA from KIT Group of Institutions, Ghaziabad. First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me such an opportunity, and also to Mr. Mohanlal Agrawal, President of Indo-Gulf Marketing Association, for having me, for giving me this opportunity. So I would like to start with my speech. As we know that the youth of any country is a well-known asset for us. Uh, they are indeed in the future of the country, and it represents it at every level. The role of youth in nation building is very important than we might think. In other words, the intelligence and the work of youth will take the country on the pathway of the success. As every citizen is equally responsible, the youth is too responsible for that. They are the building blocks of the country. The youth is important because they will be our future. Today they might be our partners. Tomorrow they will be or become our leaders. The youth are very energetic and also they are enthusiastic. They have the ability to learn and adapt the environment. Similarly, they are willing to learn and act on it as well to achieve their goals also. Our youth can bring social reform and improvement in the society. We cannot make do without the youth of a country. Furthermore, the nation requires their participation to achieve the goals and help in taking the country towards the progress. Likewise, we see how the development of any country requires active participation from the youth. It does not matter which field we want to progress in, whether it is the technical field or the sports field. Youth is needed. It is up to us how to help the youth in playing this proper role properly. We must make all the youth aware of their power and the role they have to play in the nation building. Then there are many ways in which we can help the youth of a country to achieve their potential. For that, the government must introduce programs that will help in fighting of issues like unemployment, poor education institutions, or more to help them prosper without any hindrance. Similarly, citizens make sure to encourage our youth to do better in every field. When we constantly discourage our youth and don't believe in them, they will lose their spark. We must also make sure they should be given the wind beneath their wings to fly instead of bringing them down by tying chains to their wings. Furthermore, equal opportunities must be provided irrespective of caste, creed, gender, race, religion, and more. There are various issues of nepotism and favoritism that is eating away the actual talent of other country. This must be done away with as soon as possible. We must make sure that every youth has the chance to prove themselves worthy and must be offered equally to all. Then the current trend of youth being active on social media needs to be channeled by diverting their energy towards national integration and building a society into something good. The world faced several challenges to its security, both from internal and as well as external sources. To its external sources, in their hand all these threats and their impacts on economic. During this pandemic, we have also seen that the demographic divide of the security forces, that we are not able to prevent the attacks by terrorists. They are not able to control the conflicts, in addition to the various measures like improving intelligence, surveillance, security. The coordination among security forces have not met to every provision of basic facilities and employment of youth. After all, youth from all the communities would empower and encourage them to play a larger role in national security. Under such circumstance, it would not be out of place to give a serious thought to promote awareness about challenges to national security. This would achieve uniformity in imparting instructions and prevent misuse of particular platform. They could organize engrossing and interactive workshops on national security, strengths of diversity in a country, leadership, team spirit, team building activities would also, can bring the impulse in the body. To conclude, I would advise my fellow citizen that you should define your purpose in the context what's around you. You should be more curious to know more. You should be curious that what is actually happening around you, and what is your community. Take an interest, be present, know your world, know your people, know your country, know your community, know your company, and most importantly, know yourself. Then I would like to end up my speech by saying of Alan Kay, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So let's all gear up together for the sooner and the better world for all of us to live in. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharma, for giving your very energetic views. One point you have mentioned that the wings are there and youth have to fly, but they are tied up. Nobody are tied up. As our chief guest general has mentioned, 65% population belongs to youth. So the majority and the democracy principles, the majority rules. So the rules is yours. How come seniors can tie up your wings? Rather, you can tie up the wings of the seniors. But the only point here is one which I can, again, I'm repeating, which I have to tell every time whenever there is a youth media conference. The first parliament in India was having 26% of the MPs below 45 years of age. And this present parliament, we have only 12% of the MPs with below 45% of age. The fault lies with the youth, not with the senior citizens. You have your wings, fly. We have not tied, no senior citizen can tie up your wings. You have full liberty to fly. Only thing is, as you mentioned, you know yourself, know your own powers, then you can definitely fly. Thank you very much, Ms. Sharma. Now I would like to invite my next guest, is the youth guest, and she is Miss Hira Moni Kalita. Miss Hira Moni Kalita, you have heard our chief guest, General Raj Gopal. He has spoken, as well as the two earlier your youth guests. Now we would like to know from you the role of youth in national security. Miss Hiromani Kalita, please.
Good morning, viewers, and I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and it's an honor for me to be speaking in front of our chief guest and our chief editor. My name is Hiramani Kalita from Loyola College, Williamnagar, Meghalaya, and I'm presently pursuing my graduation in second BA in Education Department. As a young nation, we have to recognize the power of youth, a force which has a great potential that needs to be harnessed towards our national security. This is even more important in a country like India that has a very young demographic profile, and to realize that national security requires the active engagement of all the citizens as it is shared responsibility. Our country faces a number of challenges up to its security from both external and internal sources. For example, social media, as it is one of the most important examples of today's generation regarding security. It has both evil and a good side. If we engage the youth from all communities in India, it would empower and encourage everyone to play a larger role in national security. while in some other places, gender equality too becomes a major conflict. Discrimination of caste, religion, sex, standards, and many more. Within this COVID-19 pandemic itself, we can see in many places, even in news, many women and young girls being raped. By getting all this information and seeing all this news, question used to get in my mind that is our country really safe? Are we really secure? What are the governments doing? But by seeing the positive sides of our medias, we feel that there is a hope that hashtag Youth for Peace had million impression and trended in many sites, and also I Declare campaign in which the youth leaders and organizations posted a similar signs of security, support, and peace. We young people are highly engaged in transforming conflict, countering violence, building peace, security, and making more efforts to make our society better. Yet, our efforts are unseen, unrecognized, and even undermined due to the lack of adequate participatory and opportunities to partner with decision-making bodies. To develop meaningful mechanisms for us to participate in leadership role in national security, decision and policy making from local to national and international levels must be available. To be active agents for building peace and security, we need to be able to see that our society has an ongoing state. As given the complex nature of our country with its vastness, illiteracy, poverty, and massive unemployment and demographic divide, the security forces are not in a position to prevent or control conflicts. All the threats and their impact on economic growth and national security are all visible within and outside India. So, from my side, I would like to say that the measures for this we must improve security, armed force surveillances, counseling sessions, and monitoring unlawful activities, giving more women empowerment, women and young men and women to give a lead role in leadership, building team spirit to bring our national security system stronger. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kalita, for giving your views. And you are right when you said that there are two sides of the social media, evil and the good. And yes, if youth realize this point, that they have to see the better side, the good side of the social media, then the social media is such a nice thing that one can do wonders. But the dark side one should not see and try to avoid. And the responsibility of youth, as our chief guest has also mentioned, General Rajgopal, that if youth take this responsibility, that they will see to it that the younger to them, even the elder to them, will not misuse the social media, then definitely there will be no threat to our national security. Thank you very much, Ms. Kalida, for giving your beautiful views. Now I would like to go to my next youth guest, and he is Mr. Muhammad Akib. Mr. Muhammad Akib, you have already heard our chief guest, General Rajgopal, as well as earlier youth guest. Now, we would like to know from you. First, you have to introduce yourself, and then we would like to know from you the role of youth in national security. Mr. Muhammad Akib, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. This is Mohammad Akib and I'm pursuing MBA from KIT Group of Institutions, Ghaziabad. So the topic on which I'm about to speak is the role of youth in national security. But before I begin with my topic, I would like to thank Mr. Mohanlal Agarwal, sir, President of Indo-Gulf Marketing Association, and Mr. Lal Goel, sir, for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this activity. It is my privilege to present this speech in front of our honorable guest, and it is even a bigger privilege for me to speak on national security, as it is the reason why we can have our lives free of discriminations, free of dominances, free of threats, and various similar reasons. But are we really experiencing that sort of free life? To some extent, that is not true. Dominances and different types of threats. I'm not talking about the external threats, but the internal threats right now. These internal threats are not born. In fact, they are developed or they are shaped. And the internal threat which I'm talking about is the youth, or more precisely, I should be saying the misguided or distracted youth. They are misguided or distracted on the basis of religion, political agendas, orthodox beliefs, and various similar reasons. Isn't it a threat for our nation? The answer is yes. Misguided youth can have who are these misguided youth, and in fact how are they misguided? Misguided youth are a group of young people who are manipulated for not doing the rational thing, who are filled with wrong information, who have faced lot of injustice in their lives, and also those who are not informed about the basic fundamental rights. Due to lack of education, many youngsters are not able to expand their minds towards better aspects of life, and they are not able to focus on the productive things. This being one of the reasons youth are manipulated towards the activities which misguide them and lead them towards violence, destruction, and unproductive activities. However, India is having the largest youth population in the world. Let me repeat myself. India is having the largest youth population in the world, which is approximately 356 million. The youth are the key for attaining effective and efficient national security in a nation. They are the key for establishing peace among the individuals. They are the root of a well developed and strong nation. But to achieve these objectives, it is very necessary to guide the youth population in such a way that they become well aware of their duties and responsibilities towards the nation. Youth are a very strong part of any community. Engaging youth from all the communities would encourage and empower them to play a larger role in their nation's progress. There is a need to promote awareness through educational institutions about national security and its impact on the various phases of a country's well-being. This will not only help in improving the national security of a country, but also it will help to promote the sustainable peace in the society. Encouraging the youth will definitely uplift the society. A strong and peaceful society represents a strong and peaceful nation. Youth are energetic. They are filled with enthusiasm. They are filled with passion. If they are guided well, then they can do things beyond imagination. With, as we know, the youth are a supreme power amongst themselves. Up till now, I've been talking about the good and bad impacts of youth in national security. But many of you might be thinking, why haven't I talked about the army or intelligence or other defense bodies of a nation? So let me tell you what national security means. National security means the security and defense of a nation state, including its citizens, economy, and its institutions. It is the requirement to maintain the survival of the state by making the use of economic power, diplomacy, power projection, and political power. As the definition suggests, national security is a much wider term than as compared to what it is generally taken as. It not only depends on the defense bodies of a nation, but also on the economic power of a nation, its political power, and of course, the involvement of youth in the development of a nation. According to the Global Peace Index of 2020, India stands at a position of 139 out of 163 independent countries and union territories. But the good news is that India stood at a position of 141 in the year 2019, but it climbed up two positions and to reach the position of 139 in the year 2020. There is a great saying, the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So if we are looking for effective and efficient national security, then we as a youth should do a better role in nation's progress. There should be a sense of unity and responsibility in everyone's mind. Unity to stand as one, and responsibility to fulfill the duties of a citizen. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad Rakib, for giving your views. And you correctly mentioned that the youth have power, Only thing is you should be guided properly. Misguided youth is a threat for the country, for the society. And if youths themselves decide that they will never be misguided by anybody, because earlier the difference is the present youth is more enlightened because of the social media, because of the circumstances, because of the lifestyle. So they can be definitely not be misguided by anybody if they decide themselves, and if they also take the decision to guide others who are being misguided. Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammad Yaqib, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next guest and youth guest, and he is Mr. Sai Pranav. Mr. Sai Pranav, you have heard our chief guest, General Raj Gopal, as well as the earlier youth guest. Now we would like to know from you the role of youth in national security. Mr. Sai Pranav, first you introduce yourself and then speak.
Thank you to the chief editor and the chief guest for this opportunity to speak, and to the principal and the vice principal of my school. My name is Sai Pranav Kishan. I'm a ninth standard student at St. Teresa's School, Bendur, Mangalore, and I'm here to speak about national security and the role that youth can actually have in it. Young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovation. Empowered, they can be the key agents for peace and development. If, however, they're left on society's margins, all of us will be impoverished. Let us ensure that all young people have every opportunity to fully participate in the lives of their societies. This quote was said by Kofi Annan, an extremely famous diplomat and a Nobel Peace Prize winner. The world is forever and evolving and expanding, and the only thing that is not there's no change to is change itself. And with such expansion and integration, the threats that our military and our intelligence services and even the citizens of our country will have to deal with will also subsequently increase. The youth, as a next generation running this country, have to be prepared for such threats and respond to them dynamically. And in such an ever-evolving technological world, the avenue of warfare will not just be limited to guns or grenades, but also to code and transistors, and to even robots and drones. The entire landscape of warfare is poised to change, as shown in recent times, and the youth will be a necessary part in this inevitable shift. The youth of today have grown up surrounded by technology, and that in itself can be an advantage to the response to the ever-evolving threats, such as cyber attacks. Um, uh, for example, there's a DRDO Young Scientist Lab, which provides young scientists with research tools in cognitive technology, implementing neural networks and machine learning in different applications, which can allow a more intelligent military response. Scientific methods, not emotional reactions, must be used in our future, not just to protect the nation, but the world itself. Climate change is one of the greatest threats to humanity, and in turn, a threat to the stability and the national security of India, by eroding vital geographical features that protect India from its enemies in the north, as well as threatening the food security of the country itself by causing farming shifts or an irregular monsoon, which is all vital for Indian farmers, and threatens a huge agrarian economy that India was based on. The terrorism threat cannot be fully ignored either, and social media does play a huge part in this, through misinformation or even anonymous chatting apps such as Telegram or even WhatsApp, which has an end-to-end chat encryption, which can be used to effectively communicate to radicalized persons within our country. But we have to acknowledge that these radicalized persons can also be our citizens, and it is our duty as citizens of this country to make sure to guide them in the right direction. All these security features to keep Indian citizens safe should not come at and threat to our fundamental rights that have been enshrined in our constitution. And the youth, as heavy social media users, have already inbuilt the value of privacy and should build a national security in dynamic style, keeping these ideals in mind. The youth should also be aware of how even a singular citizen plays a role in the national security of the country. In a world of interconnectedness by the internet, vigilance on a personal level is required to protect a country's internal security. A well-placed computer virus could wreak havoc. A case in point, the German ransomware attack, which caused a death, or the 2015 Ukrainian power grid attacks, which caused a blackout in the European nation. An assessment of India's power grids by the government also showed massive flaws in its cybersecurity. So, besides these grandiose ideas of security on a national scale, youth can directly contribute by embodying the fundamental duties enshrined in the Constitution and thereby even contribute to national security. We need to promote brotherhood among citizens, be tolerant of other ideas proposed by other countrymen, and most importantly, to uphold the unity of a nation. As a youth, we are the future and we have to carry these ideals in order to preserve our nation and its security in turn. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sai Pranav. And you have given a very new dimension of the national security when you said about the environment is also plays a very, very important role. So youth we have seen that how the youth from other countries, even from our country in India, the young youth, those who are fighting for the environment, Greta, as well as Kanupriya, or I think this is the name, who is an activist in the environment. So if youth will take this responsibility, that they will do whatsoever they want to do, it should be for the national security. I am sure the time will come when we will have a very strong national security in the country. Thank you very much, Sai Pranav, for giving your views. Now I would like to invite my next youth guest, and he is Srinjay Jha. Mr. Jha, you have heard our chief guest, General Rajgopal, as well as the earlier guests of youth guest. Now, we would like to know from you your views about the role of youth in national security. First, introduce yourself, and then please go ahead.
I am pursuing my MBA from GD Goenka University, Gurgaon. I am Srinjay Jha. It is a positively unique feeling to be a part of this conference. With a sense of humbleness and responsibility, I would like to thank Dr. Mohan Agarwal, President of Indo-Gulf Marketing Association, for this opportunity, our chief guest, General P. Raja Gopal, and our chief editor, Mr. LAL GOEL. The youth represent a third of this country's population. They exercise the citizenship of India. Each citizen of this country has the responsibility to make his or her community a decent, inhabitable location. Being a responsible citizen implies that you know your duties adequately and will volunteer for the numerous things that are required by the community or the society in general. We as young citizens of this young democracy are all accountable for the good or bad conditions of the nation. Young people of this country extend the democratic window of opportunity to 2050. But the world is in the middle of the fourth industrial revolution that is characterized by technology breakthroughs occurring with unprecedented pace. There is blurring of the digital, biological, physical space with rapid advancements in artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, Internet of Things, quantum computing, nanotechnology, 3D printing, autonomous vehicles, and biotechnology. Undoubtedly, there are many advantages to new technologies, but there is also disruptions in traditional patterns of employment, governance, and social relations. With 1% of India's population owning more than 50% of the total wealth of the nation, if the rich-poor and power disparity gap is not addressed by the youth of this country, it can contribute to the recipe of social disharmony and conflict, endangering national security. The Indian youth is currently hyperactive on social media. This activity of the youth is decentralized, spending hours at a stretch and achieving very minimal realistic goals. Their energy must be channeled towards understanding and developing national integrity and national security. These days, the onset of proxy wars on social media is not an unfamiliar approach by terrorist organizations, international and national political parties, and other such interested entities. These pose a serious threat to the society and national security. These organizations have acquired all the necessary expertise required from cyberspace to derail the IT infrastructure, economy, and even transportation, communication, the military operations, and even educational institutions. Adding on the complex nature of the Indian society and its developing standards, our security forces cannot fulfill each and every spontaneous attack if the youth themselves pay way to lapses. With hateful videos on the internet, with enabling public incitements, the youth has one way forward, and that has already been, and I would like to amplify that voice, that to determine their purpose with the context around them. I would like to repeat that part, to determine their context, to determine their purpose with the context around them, to be curious to know more, to be curious to know what is actually happening around them, to take interest, to be present, to know their country, and to know their fellow citizens. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jha, for giving your views. Yes, the youth, if they will come to know about their own countrymen, then definitely they can be a very big asset. And you have given a very good details about that, what types of the technology threats are there. But if it can be tackled properly by the youth only, then the India or the any country can be very, very safe. Thank you very much, Mr. Jha, for giving your views. Now I would like to go to my last youth guest of the program, and she is Miss Sonia Albert. Miss Sonia Albert, you have heard our chief guest, General Rajgopal, as well as you have heard all the youth guests who have spoken earlier to you. Now we would like to know from you the role of youth in national security. Miss Sonia Albert, please.
Myself, Sonia Albert, currently pursuing LLB from Nehru Academy of Law, which is at Palghar district in Kerala state. First of all, let me start by quoting the voracious quotes of Swami Vivekananda. As he said, "My faith relies upon in younger generation, in modern generation from which my workers will come." Yes, as we all know that we celebrated January 12 as National Youth Day, honoring the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda, who was a great leader and believer of youth power. He extremely stood for the youth, believing that they are the ones who could shape the nation. Yes, accomplishing the year of 2020, the year which upholded the theme, channelizing the power of youth for building the nation. Now we have stepped into the year 2021, which holds the theme, You Are, youth being alive in celebrating the new nation. How could be a nation celebrate if the functioning of its state is not in a smooth way? Yes, any celebration could be only possible if there is peace and order. Hence comes the importance of national security. And we know we all are celebrating National Security Day on March 4th, the day to honor the services of security forces, to appreciate them for the works they have done. National security, my dear friends, I would like to uphold the term national security, because it starts right from our homes, where we should get imparted with good culture. From the institution, educational institutions, they play a great role. We need a youth which is very bright, vigilant, vibrant, enthusiastic in almost all fields, because we need a youth which is flourished in all fields, including politicians, barristers, scientists, and also we need good food, because sound mind and sound body is what can make or promote the national security. So what we need is good hospitals with services by doctors, nurses, everything, because everything is so integrated to promote the national security. National security strategies comprises 8 elements: human security, coordination, communication, justice, gender, monitoring, communications, coordinations, oversight, and accountability. In this context, I would like to highlight the importance of our Indian Constitution, which is the supreme law of a land, because it has demarcated the fundamental political code, fundamental duties, rights, directive principles of state policies. And also, being a law student, I would like to highlight the importance of substantiative law as well as procedural law. As we know, law of contracts, torts, Code of Criminal Procedure, Code of Civil Procedure, the Limitation Act, the Evidence Act, the Court Fees Act, all these are mechanisms to promote the national security. And also, nowadays, since the sprout of pandemic, COVID-19, we know how much it was important, the sections 269, sections IPC sections 269, 271, 278. So these all are the mechanisms what we have in our state to promote the national security, and it's our responsibility, being an energetic, enthusiastic youth, to promote the national security. And also to conclude with, I would like to say that now it is the trend, like so much of the guests as well as the chief guest also mentioned about the tendency, the behavioral tendency of young generation in social media, how it goes into a negative dimension. Almost all of us have spirit within us, and the tendency of responding and reacting to the social evils is good to an extent. But at the same time, that spirit should not get sedimented within the posts or status. The spirit within us should get ignited, and Zen percentage, it should be an intention to cause a real life change. With this, I would like to conclude my speech by expressing my gratitude to the whole team for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sonia Albert, for giving your views. And you have given a legal angle also for the national security. I'm sure the youths are also enlightened today from all the angles whatsoever has come, even from your side also. Thank you very much, Ms. Sonia Albert. Now time is to go to our chief guest for the concluding remark. You have 10 minutes, General. You can speak and you can give, because your the way you are showing, the way you will show, definitely it will be very enlightening as well as the motivational for the youth. General Rajgopal, please.
Firstly, I wish to heartily congratulate the speakers. I think each one of them spoke extremely well and brought out very, very valid points. In fact, what is amazing is that the thread of thought of all the speakers is generally on the same lines. That means if I take it to a higher level, this is probably the entire thought of the youth in this country. I mean, all of you seem to be appreciating the need to be aware of national security, the need to inculcate this through the educational institutions. This is also a point which most of the speakers brought out, that there has to be some way by which this has to be brought out. The technology point came out very well. That is, the social media, all of you brought out this importance of social media. I mean, the tremendous advantages of internet and social media, and with it, the disruptive nature of the medium. So both has to be kept in mind. I mean, it is not enough to understand and say it here. You will have to practice it. I hope the viewers will also take this point, that now one point which came out was that, how the misguided youth, how do you, there has to be a practical way. There are youth which is getting misguided. So this is where the family comes in. I mean, I feel two important elements in this is the family and the friends. The family, by keeping a close watch for any changes in any, part of the family, in his approach to life, in his talk, it has to be, there has to be an engagement at every level. It is primarily at the family level, where everybody has to be alert about each other, what is happening, what is the other person doing. That is the most important aspect. Then the friends which you keep is also, most important. When you share with your friends, and if you have good friends, they will tell you what is right, what is wrong. For everything, for youth, of course, it's a time to enjoy your life, but there is, for everything, there's a line that if you cross that line, it can go the other way. So that's where you have to be extremely careful about the social media. That I feel is one of the primary things which I will keep stressing and saying it again and again. That's the major threat which we have to be careful about. Because as I've said earlier also, when I talked about it, that in any incident you see, there will be some local support. And that local support is misguided youth. That's why I say that conversation is the key to this. conversation at family level, conversation with friends. I'm repeating myself, but this is what is most. Second thing, which one point which came out was about the, that we need to be, national security involves your economic power, your political power, all I want to stress is, primarily, today countries listen to only military power. That is a crucial aspect which we have to remember. But in our developing economy, we have a problem, because one of the speakers pointed out that our security forces are not fully able to meet the challenges. Yes, true. You have one of the finest security forces, shall I say, uniform forces in the world, most dedicated armed forces in the world, but they also need the wherewithal. And that's where we have a problem. When you compare with the developed countries, there is a limit to which we can go, because the economy has also to sustain. You cannot spend all your money on defense. So that is a balance. So you have excellent manpower, which is making up to a large extent even some of the shortages of your military hardware. But still, that balance is a very very careful thing which we have to think of. So even when money is spent on defense, as youth, you should appreciate that, because there is nothing without, no country listens to you for the heck of it. You may have your trade, whatever, but if you want to be a power, if you want to be, you see any of the advanced countries, you see US, China, they are first a military power. That's the primary thing. You should be able to maintain your rest of your things only with military power. But as I said, you cannot spend all your money on military, then there'll be nothing. So that's a fine balance which we have to this thing. Another aspect which probably did not come out is about the fake news. Literally in India, we have a fake news factory which is available all over. The constant, misinformation through fake news. That's another thing which one has to be you must check out before you see any incident, whether it is any terrorist attack anywhere in this thing. It is the social media through fake news which immediately comes into play, whether it is the Delhi riots or anywhere. So that's another aspect which we have to. So I think I will conclude here. Once again, wishing you all the best. It was a great interaction, and it was so nice to see all of you so conscious about the national security. I'm sure you will convey this through your friends, the need to remain alert. So we have a wonderful country. We should remain happy, united, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. And one thing, yes, what your General has mentioned is very correct, that our uniformed forces are the best in the world, most disciplined, most dedicated. In spite of all odds, as General has also mentioned about that we are not releasing that much funds because the country requires funds for other developments also. But still, their dedication is unparalleled. And this is only possible because this is our culture, and the culture is because we have been invited, but our own thinkings and our culture from very beginning. But if youth will also think in that way, and which they are thinking, then definitely whatsoever the hardships our uniformed forces are facing, they will not have any problems, even if they are in the -30 or -40 degree. If they know that their home is safe, if they know their family members are safe, if they know that their state or the country is safe, they are very happy to serve the entire country, even on those very odd situation. And this is the responsibility of the youth, to see to it that they will make that type of environment in the country where there are no riots, there are no such types of problems for petty things, as a general has mentioned about the fake news. Yes, this is because if the youth take decision, you have only few seconds, just search on Google whether this news is fake or not. If it is fake, immediately reply to the person who has forwarded to you, see, this is a fake news, please don't forward to anyone further. We can stop many many mishappenings by stopping the fake news. And this is in the hand of youth. And you have seen today how the social media recently in America, what has happened in USA, that one speech of the although he's right now the president for 2 more days, one speech of that ignited the few misguided people who have attacked the capital, the parliament of that country, which is very unfortunate. And see the right steps taken by the media houses there, that they banned even the most powerful person of the world by banning him, because no such type of wrong things should be allowed in social media. And if you all, because the youth have power to create the positive news. And I will tell you from the Gyan side, you might be seeing the banner or the logo behind me, that is Gyan, that is Global Youth Activity Network. Our endeavor is to connect all the youths from different parts of India as well as globally, and to enlighten them about the positiveness. And that's why we want to create the positive media in the country, positive thoughts. If you will have more positive thoughts, and then there is no problem for even the coronavirus, because they say that if you are positive, not coronavirus positive, otherwise if you are positive, the coronavirus cannot affect. Thank you very much, General, for giving such a enlightening and motivational, inspirational talks today. I'm sure all our youth guests, and they are very forthwith. They have given their thoughts, as you rightly said, that everyone is unanimously agreeing that all youths wants to come forward to see to it that the national security will be the utmost topic, utmost consideration for the youths. And if youth is thinking like that, I'm sure our India is very safe. Our country is safe. Thank you very much. Thank you to you all. And this today's telecast is live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, Newsgaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you current topic every day. And tomorrow's topic is a very different topic. The media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. The topic is COVID-19, will China compensate? Yes, you all are youth, you know, and if you go and you read the history, even the Germany compensated when they started the World War II. So why not? We all know this pandemic, trillions of rupees or the dollars have been spent, wasted. So many lives, millions and millions of lives have been lost because of the wrongdoing of a country. So the topic is COVID-19, will China compensate? And our guests are Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS, one-man expert, Commission on Labor, Government of India, Professor Dr. Omen Memon, former Dean, Nepunia School of Management, LAP, Professor Dr. Vidisha Vyas, Professor and Director, PG Program, IILM University, Gurugram, and Mr. Madhusudan A, State Secretary, SAPARYA, Kanhangad, Kerala. So please tune in tomorrow for media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. Thank you very much, General Rajgopal, for coming and giving your valuable time and valuable views and encouraging our youths. And thank you all our youth guests today for giving very energetic, positive views, which are, I'm sure all our viewers, whether youth or senior adults or senior citizens, might be enlightening, energetic, felt energetic because of the views given by you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the viewers.